All right, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. Today I'm talking about The Last Tsar, the life and the death of Nicholas II by Edvard Radzinsky. This book was published in the early 1990s, and I guess the strong selling point of it would be the fact that it relies upon new materials from the Soviet archives. For the collapse of the Soviet Union, they opened the archives up, and he was able to read a lot of stuff, journal entries, and materials that were not previously available to historians. Now, Edward Radzinsky's credentials as a historian, I don't know. To me, there felt like there was a lot of speculation in the book, especially in the first half. I think the second half of the book is a lot stronger. Everything that is a build up to the last days of the Tsar and his family, the end of the Romanov dynasty, it's kind of lackluster in my opinion. I don't think that this book is a good place to start because I think it assumes that you have some sort of background or knowledge into World War One, the Russian Empire's involvement in it. Um, for instance, like the Bloody Sunday massacre, even though that's covered in here, it kind of skims over things. So you're not really going to get insight into Lenin and Trotsky, Stalin. You're not going to learn a whole lot. This mainly just focuses on the Romanov family, specifically like once the book gets to the part where they are arrested and Nicholas abdicates the throne. The book gets a lot better because it focuses in a lot more. So stronger second half than first half. However, I can't recommend this book as a starting place if you're looking into the life of Tsar Nicholas and the Romanovs here. I don't know exactly where I would start. I kind of looked around. There is a Pulitzer Prize winning novel by Robert K. Macy, which is called Nicholas and Alexandra, which was published in 1967. The drawback of that book is, of course, it doesn't have access to those Soviet files that Radzinsky has access to here. So I would say maybe start with that book and then read this as a supplement. I haven't read it myself, but I really just can't recommend starting with this. It was too scattershot. I honestly, I think the book, if I was going to rate it, it would be, like a 3 out of 5, right? Maybe a 2.5 out of 5. That first half is just really hard to follow, and it may be due to the translation issues. The book was originally written in Russian. It's translated into English, and the writing style felt it was just really difficult for me to read it at times. So yeah, Robert K. Macy has 2 books on the Romanovs. That first one was published in 1967, Nicholas and Alexandria, and he has a follow-up book which is called The Romanovs: The Final Chapter, which was published in 1995. So right around the time that this book came out. So I would say maybe check those out. I'll probably check them out myself at some point in the future. In fact, I saw that Macy has like 4 books on the Russian emperors. He has a book on Peter the Great, and he also has a book on Catherine the Great. In fact, his book on Nicholas and Alexandra won the Pulitzer Prize. So I hope that's helpful. This book does have some nice photographs in it. That's always wonderful, to have photo inserts and whatnot. Of course, Grigory Rasputin. There's not a whole lot about Rasputin in here. I think Radzinsky has written a book on Rasputin, although I'm not really so sure that I would check it out and read it myself, just based upon, I don't know, the sensationalism kind of around it. I've always been suspect of the story of Rasputin, about how much of it is true and how much of it is, you know, propaganda put out by people that hated him. Because, I mean, his influence in the royal court was really despised by the aristocrats. And there's Alexei, their son. And in fact, it was the aristocrats that assassinated him. Here's the conspirators that received the order from Lenin to kill the royal family. Okay, so yeah, this book does get into some forensic stuff at the end, speculating that Anastasia survived the assassination, which we know is bunk. Radzinsky should have known better because I think they'd already done DNA evidence on the remains by the time he published this. I could be wrong about that, but yeah, Anastasia did not survive. So, not the greatest book. I was kind of disappointed in it because this had been on my radar for a long time, and it was just okay. It's mid. It's completely mid. I mean, it's a like I said, it's a good supplemental book if you already know something about the Romanovs, but I'm sure there's something better out there than this. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day.